Anyway, it's common to hear people say that right now we have more information than ever and less knowledge. And I think people say that because that's true. We're surrounded by snippets of information. They're all interesting. Some of them are even accurate, but we're not surrounded by knowledge. The reason is, if you wish to obtain knowledge, you must read books. There is just simply no shortcut. And the entree to reading books is book reviews. Well done book reviews. Yeah, sure, there are some hatchet jobs. Not that that's ever happened to me. There are some hatchet jobs, but a well done book review tells the reader, should I read this book? What's the merit of this book? Why should I care about what's in it? Why should I take 6 or 8 hours of my time to process all these words and put them in their head? And that's the most important function that well done book reviewing served. And Kukula Galastris, when she was at the Monthly, she was really good at nurturing book reviewers to not be flashy and show offy, but to try to help the reader make the decision, do I or do I not want to read this book? And that's the most important function that a well-done book review can serve.
I think that we really need to have the reviewing of nonfiction be taken very seriously, because the form of nonfiction writing is burgeoning, and there are all sorts of experiments and all sorts of ambitions that previously rested more with fiction, all sorts of new ways of writing about the world in which we live, which I think is very appropriate to our time, because we live in a fast changing time and we don't always have consensual ideas of what the world even is. So it's a great moment for nonfiction and an important political moment. And we have absolutely no critical tradition for nonfiction. If you think about what the critical tradition is for fiction, and then compare it to what we have for nonfiction, you are going to see a very deep abyss. I actually, in some ways, think it's a wonderful thing, because we're not burdened with a century of ideas of what we should be doing, but we do need to bring a critical eye. And most importantly, we need to have reviewing that talks about how a book is done when it's being done in a more complex way, the way Yellowbird is done, how successful that is. What does that approach really reveal about the world? Did it work or not? Does it distort what the world is? What is it uncovering that's unexpected? And is it successful or not? Does it slant things? What does even the voice, the language suggest? So that's why I love this prize. I love the prize. I love doing it. I think this was a great choice, but I also thought we had a lot of terrific choices, and that it was a wonderful opportunity for any reader or writer to see what's going on and what people are saying about it.
There aren't a lot of venues where we can write about what people are writing about. Absolutely, on Twitter, people start trash talking others, journalism and things like that. But that kind of thoughtful, deeply reasoned, critical thinking, engaged approach to the written word, to books that deal with subjects of some national urgency, just doesn't get the credit that it's due. And I think a lot of people don't understand how much work goes into them, how you can really make a book, you can give readers an opportunity to understand certain books that have been written without having to read them, and to inspire them to read books that they might not otherwise have wanted to pick up. So I think it serves a lot of different purposes, and it seems in an interesting way to be one of the few venues of public conversation that isn't very toxic and is just a kind of a calm and reasoned exchange of ideas. So it does seem like something that should be recognized, especially for those people who are doing it really, really, really well. I also just want to underscore the importance of the Kukula Award, because the Washington Monthly is one of those rare places where, again, politics and public service and a sense of what is important in this country leads, I mean, it really leads a conversation with some of the smartest writers and thinkers around. And for the Monthly to sponsor this award in Kukula's memory just feels like a perfect meeting of tribute and subject. I mean, just like a great book is a perfect meeting of the writer and the subject matter, this award seems to me to be a perfect meeting of the person we are paying tribute to and the place which is sponsoring the award. And again, the nature of the award to recognize book reviewers, that small group of people who are easily overlooked, is especially meaningful.
I think nonfiction book reviewing has a really special place in the cultural landscape. I think sort of different, you know, I review fiction and write about visual art and other things, but I think there's something pretty unique about approaching nonfiction, which, I mean, I think first of all, you sort of have a greater burden or gift of introduction for a reader. You're often sort of charged with familiarizing readers with subject matter that they may or may not know anything about. And I often review nonfiction books that tend to be a little bit more scholarly or published by academic university presses. And so there's, I think, not to overstate it, but I do think there's some element of a public good in trying to just get research and disciplines and subject matter to wider audiences who might not encounter them otherwise. And then I think secondarily, you're sort of tasked as in any criticism with a kind of evaluation and consideration of something as a crafted book, but also with its facticity, its structure, and its construction sort of as a work of nonfiction. And I think this is a challenging task. It's something that I probably wouldn't feel comfortable doing if I wasn't also a working journalist and writer of nonfiction myself. So I think it's something I take seriously. I think engaging with what a book has to offer readers, and also with its, you know, as a piece of reportage and scholarship or research, I think it can be really great for people who are curious, even if they don't go on to read the book, or even if they don't have any familiarity with it and its subject matter sort of to begin with. And I think that's something, yeah, I think that's sort of what feels unique to me about approaching nonfiction.